All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Roundabout Sports presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media, where our passion is our profession. Thank you so much. It is Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. I am the Maestro, Jeremy Karp, and I want to start off the show. We're going to have Jared joining us soon. Excuse me. And we're going to start off by sending out our best wishes to Panthers tight end Hayden Hurst. Unfortunately, he has been diagnosed with post-traumatic amnesia. In week 10, he suffered a concussion in a loss to the Chicago Bears, and he has not played since. Now, while he was listed as a limited participant in practice this past Wednesday, his father revealed in a statement his son has been diagnosed with a more serious issue. CBS Sports, one of the many places to report on it, saying, according to Jerry Hurst, Hayden's been diagnosed with post-traumatic amnesia after seeing an independent neurologist. Now, the duration of the amnesia is defined as the time from the moment of injury to the time of resumption of normal continuous memory, per the National Institute of Health. Now, in 9 games this season, Hurst, 30 years old, has caught 18 catches for 184 yards and 1 touchdown. Former first-round pick. He's played with the Falcons, the Ravens, and Bengals. But we definitely send out our best wishes to him at this time. Also want to give a big shout out to our friend, the Night Owl, Renee, from the Wrestle Talk podcast. His daughter's birthday was yesterday, so major special shout out to his daughter and that whole family. Just God love them. An amazing group. Be sure to check out the Wrestle Talk podcast every week. So absolutely. Now, the first thing I'm going to kick off as we wait, Jared's going to be joining me soon, but the first thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that in the MLB draft lottery, the Royals have received the number 6 selection, despite having tied for one of the worst records in baseball. They finished with the second worst. Now, Kansas City was once again unable to secure a number 1 pick. But that's kind of what the lottery is about. So the Royals, Athletics, and Rockies had an 18.3% chance each of getting the number 1 overall pick. The Guardians ended up receiving the number 1 pick. They only had a 2% chance, but that's kind of just how a lottery goes. The draft lottery was implemented last year to try to discourage teams from tanking just to get a better draft pick. And so it goes, the top 6 slots in the draft are subject to the lottery, weighted for teams with a worse record. All non-playoff teams are eligible for a lottery pick except for the Nationals, because they are a payer club in terms of revenue sharing, and they can't be selected in the lottery 2 years in a row. The thing of it is, the Royals, we've talked about this on the show before. I've talked about this on the website before. Pitching has been the Royals' Achilles heel. Brady Singer and Jordan Lyles each had disappointing seasons. And the bullpen's taken a rough beating as well. So there's a lot to really try to manage here. Now, as far as the lottery results, these are the 18 picks, because obviously it's a 12-team playoff. So let me go down the order for you. So, as I said, the Cleveland Guardians got the number 1 pick. Cincinnati Reds got number 2. Colorado Rockies 3. Oakland, or I guess at this rate, soon to be Las Vegas Athletics 4. White Sox 5. Royals 6. St. Louis Cardinals did get the 7th pick. The Angels got the 8th. Pirates got the 9th. Nationals got the 10th. The The Tigers got 11th. The Red Sox got 12th. Giants 13. Cubs 14. Mariners 15. Marlins 16. Brewers 17. And Rays 18. So that is what your MLB draft lottery is going to look like as we head to the 2024 season. Meanwhile, on the other side of I-70, Yadier Molina's rejoined the Cardinals, but not as a catcher. Don't get your hopes up too much on that one, folks. Molina will remain with the Cardinals as a special assistant to John Mozeliak, who is the president of baseball operations. Molina, he's 41 years old, a 10-time catch All-Star, 9-time Gold Glove winner. He played every game of his career in St. Louis. That includes 2,184 games behind the plate, which is the most for any catcher for one team in Major League history. Mozeliak provided in a statement, quote, we are excited to welcome Yadi back to the Cardinals. He will provide invaluable help at the Major League level, as well as spend time with our minor league teams in his new role with the team. So Molina was a 4th-round pick from the Cardinals in the 2000 first-year player draft. And he only trails Stan Musial for the most seasons with the club. Stan, the man, obviously playing 22 seasons for the Cardinals. But he was a big part in helping the Cardinals reach 4 World Series and win 2 of them. So, I mean, he's their all-time postseason leader in hits and games played, believe it or not. So it's very nice to have Yadi back into the mix. Now, I do want to say, folks, that the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes are still heating up. But while that is heating up in free agency, I do want to say that it looks like we have some late developments coming up as far as, well, if you can just bear with me for 1 second. When it comes to Juan Soto, so we are apparently getting close to a trade that will send all-star Juan Soto to the New York Yankees. The Yankees are viewed as the heavy favorite. According to MLB Network insider John Heyman, the deal is expected to be done fairly soon, with only the medicals and minor deals left to be ironed out, the standard stuff. Originally, the Yankees and a bunch of other teams balked at the high asking price for the superstar. But he's only 25. He has a high ceiling. There's a lot of greatness ahead for Soto. The Padres, however, were a very disappointing team this season because they finished 82-80 and in 3rd place, despite the fact that you had guys like Fernando Tatis, Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado, and Nelson Cruz, David Dahl, as well as having Juan Soto. And a lot of people felt that this was a World Series caliber team. Unfortunately, we see the results that it didn't pan out. They finished 82-80, 3rd place in the division. So yeah, I'm definitely stunned at what has transpired with the Padres. Very disappointing for them. Of course, like I said, Tatis missed the entire 2022 season due to an injury and an 80-game suspension. But despite all that, the perennial favorite Dodgers reigned supreme yet again when it came to that division. So stay tuned. We're going to keep it posted on the latest when it comes to what happens with Juan Soto and the New York Yankees. Now we're going to move on, folks, to the NFL. So we're looking at some of the latest and injuries. We talked in the beginning of the show at the top of the hour about Hayden Hurst's tragic injury. Well, we also have Trevor Lawrence, quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, suffering a high ankle sprain. Less than 48 hours later, he had met with the media and said he's thankful that it's not a worse injury than what he thought. But we are not sure. The team is not sure if he will be available for Sunday's game against the Cleveland Browns. It's a pivotal one because while the Jaguars are in first place in their division, Cleveland's the 6th seed in the wild card at 7-5. Jaguars are 8-4. Seeding matters in every way, shape, and form, especially this late in the season as we head into week 14. And kudos to Trevor Lawrence and the selflessness that he has, because he's reiterated that he would never put himself or the team at higher risk, that we aren't going to do our best just because he can't do his job. So basically, he feels that if he ain't 100%, if he doesn't feel like he can go out there and give everything he can and do what's best for the team, he's not going to do it. And I got a lot of praise and respect for that. So I definitely, I definitely highly praise him for that. Now, somebody in the NFL I'm not going to praise, and this one, buckle up, because I got a bone to pick with this. Okay. Now, I get it. NFL players are put on a interesting pedestal. So we're going to talk about Seahawks safety Jamal Adams for a second. Now, he's faced severe criticism on social media and disapproval from Coach Pete Carroll recently, because an NFL reporter had criticized his play. So Jamal Adams decided to clap back and criticize his. He showed a picture of the reporter's wife along with the same comment that the reporter said yikes in regards to a play that Jamal Adams really allowed a touchdown on. So Jamal Adams missed the play or messed up, led to a touchdown. Reporter responds, yikes. Jamal Adams responds by posting on social media a picture with him and the reporter's wife along with the same comment, yikes. And this is the thing. When asked if the perception that he crossed the line, this is what Adams said. He said, quote, "It's always the athlete crossing the line when he responds. But at the end of the day, disrespect's disrespect, however you want to take it. So I responded. I knew when I did hit that tweet, I wasn't in it to win it. At the end of the day, it was to get him to understand to leave me the hell alone." He says that the reporter and him have previous history and they don't like each other. But to me, he says, when others go low, I go lower. To quote Jamal, that's what Jamal Adams said in that statement. So I'm definitely just at... It's amazing. Yes, it's true. Athletes are put on a higher pedestal, but why wouldn't they be? They're professional athletes. They get paid millions of dollars. We're not paying you millions of dollars to be an asshole. We're paying millions of dollars, or the teams are paying you millions of dollars to be the best damn athletes you can be. And look, Media relations peoples can be dicks too. People in the media can be dicks. I don't think a post showing a go-ahead touchdown and saying yikes is exactly the worst thing in the world. You know, if Jamal Adams took so much offense to it, I think that's kind of on him. But this is the thing. You don't bring a man's family into the conversation. I get it. He says when they go low, I go lower. Okay, good. But guess what? Expect, you may go low to the wrong person. That's the big thing. And you always have to be careful about that. And he says it's been personal with the two of them ever since he was with the Jets. And he says he hates that he had to bring her into the situation, but at the end of the day, the ultimate goal was to get at him. Okay, well, there is a million different ways to get at him. And this is the problem I have because, you didn't have to bring her into it. You chose to. And you can sit there or stand there or wherever and say to yourself, man, I really wish I didn't have to. Nobody held a gun to your head and say, bring her in the conversation. Nobody threatened to hurt your family if you didn't bring up his. Nobody threatened you. Nobody forced you. Nobody hacked into your account. You chose to do this. You chose to bring a man's wife who is completely innocent in this situation just because you have beef with somebody else. If anything, that just shows the selfishness of Jamal Adams on this end. Because if you're going to waste your time having to get back at a reporter for saying yikes, I mean, and I'm not going to completely 1000% say the reporter, I'm sure he's probably said stuff out of line to Jamal Adams at one point or another. I'm really sure he has. But guess what? While the media has to be held at a higher standard, so does the athlete. It is definitely worth mentioning. Yeah. So I'm at a loss for words. I'm at a complete loss for words as far as what was going through Jamal Adams' head when he said, "Hey, what the hell? I'm just going to talk shit on this guy's wife just because I don't like him." You do that to the wrong person, you'll end up in a ditch somewhere. That's the thing. And he's lucky the reporter's not that, vengeful about it. So that's how I look at it in regards from Jamal Adams. So that's that piece of football news, I have to say. Now, more lovely, happy-go-lucky, positive news in the world of football. There's been a lot of allegations of domestic violence made against former NFL Super Bowl MVP Von Miller. And Buffalo Bills general manager Brandon Beane stressed that he wants the legal process to play out and not rush to make any judgments. Okay. So, Miller will practice and is expected to play this Sunday when the Bills travel to Kansas City. The Bills were on a bye week this week, and as that happened, Von Miller had turned himself in to the police in a Dallas suburb after being charged in a warrant with domestic violence against the mother of his children, who is currently pregnant. He faces a third-degree felony assault of a pregnant woman, which is punishable by 2 to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. He's free after posting a $5,000 bond. Bean commented, "No one wants their name associated with accusations like that, so it's a natural disappointment, and I'm sure he's disappointed. But things happen sometimes, and again, we have to remember, we have to give them their fair due process. That can happen to anyone in this room. And I would hope we would all wait and let that play out before we rush to judgment. Man, I wish they would say that about every case in the NFL when things happen, but I guess they don't. So, you know what? I guess shit happens. Well, the alleged assault occurred on November 29th while the Bills entered their bye week. According to the affidavit, which officers wrote, Miller twice put his hands on the neck of the woman, pulled out a chunk of her hair, and threw her onto a couch. The woman was treated for minor injuries, including the bruising on her neck, per the police. They've been in a relationship for 7 years and have children together. And the gentleman and being discussed what happened with Miller and his representatives, but he has preferred to keep those conversations private. The NFL and Commissioner Roger Goodell has also been in talks with the Buffalo Bills organization, but they don't believe they're going to put Von Miller on the commissioner's exempt list. Now, in the past, players aren't placed on the reserve commissioner's exempt list until formal charges filed by a prosecutor or through the findings of a grand jury. Now, the woman told the police she was 6 weeks pregnant and showed them a photograph of a positive pregnancy test and a screenshot of a text conversation with Miller in which they discussed the possible due date of the child and a doctor visit. So currently, and according to police, Von Miller also threw the woman's laptop on the couch and stomped on it. So she recorded some of the attack, apparently, and when she threatened to call police, he had left. Now, Von Miller is one of the most popular players in the NFL. Probably a future Hall of Famer. He's the active leader in sacks with 123 and a half, which is 19th all time. In 2011, he was selected number 2 overall. He's a 3-time All-Pro, an 8-time Pro Bowler. He's got 2 Super Bowls. And, he's just a familiar face in the NFL. And if you want it to play out like this, then let it play out. My thing is, I personally feel that it's going to be a slap on the wrist if anything comes of it, because that's usually what happens a lot with professional athletes. If the allegations are true, I mean, we really have to think back to the last time a really harsh punishment was handed down. And especially to a star player of Von Miller's caliber. So we're going to just have to sit back and just keep close tabs on what the latest developments are in regards to this story. Now, we're going to continue here on Roundabout Sports with a piece of sad news in the wrestling world. So, it's the end of an era. WWE Home Video, a name that invokes nostalgia among those who grew up in the 80s and 90s, a time when the physical media ran supreme, which I always loved, is set to be no more in the United Kingdom. Now, Coliseum Video was the original video release group for WWE/WWF, and it was like that from 85 to 97. Now, after a 36-year run, Fremantle Media has declared they will cease production of WWE physical media in Europe. Now, the company said, with great sadness, we must announce WWE have taken the decision to withdraw from the home video category. No licensing deals will be renewed worldwide after 2023. We would like to thank all of our collectors and fans for many years of support and passion. The last offering will be the Crown Jewel 2023 2-disc set for release December 18th in the United Kingdom. Man, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a collector. And while I don't go out collecting, I mean, I collect like video games and sports cards and memorabilia. So while VHSs and DVDs aren't my forte when it comes to collecting, I mean, hell, that's what I grew up with. I grew up with VHSs or VCRs with VHS tapes. I grew up with DVDs, like, and it sucks because shit, everything's going digital now. And look, I get there's convenience of it, but people don't realize that with everything going digital, you don't really own it. And I think that's the biggest thing that just kind of drives me up the wall. Is that, you know, like, okay, say I, okay, let me try to put this in the best way possible. All right, say I go to GameStop and I buy a, you know what? No, 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 no. Okay, I got it now. Brain fart. All right, look, the answer's a little complex. That's why. No, because you don't actually own the digital media you purchase. Now, this doesn't mean that you're at risk of losing everything that you've bought at the whim, but it's possible. Okay, so say you got a streaming service that you bought on your PS5 or something. Okay, well, great. It's on there. It's on your, your gaming system. But the moment they want to pull it, there it goes. Why? Because you don't personally own it. Now, if I have my first wrestling DVD I bought that I can recall was WrestleMania 22. And considering next year's WrestleMania 40, holy shit, that makes me feel old. But I digress. Now, I bought WrestleMania 22 all those years ago on DVD. Now, imagine somebody coming into my house saying, "That's not mine, give it to me." That's basically what digital media is. I mean, granted, not by like a mega corporation, but there's some media content you're absolutely flat out renting. So, Spotify, if you cancel your subscription, you no longer have access to any files you've downloaded. You know, the subscription lease lets you, the subscription lets you lease these files. The music industry, streaming video is another category. You don't own anything. You cancel Netflix. You cancel uh, Premiere Access, Disney Plus, Prime, Hulu, all that stuff. You cancel it, you don't get to watch it. It's not yours. You know? Um, like, now it's unlikely any corporation would willingly nuke the assets of millions of customers. But it's just my way of saying it's sad to see that the digital or the physical copy is going downhill because it's a guarantee that you own it. Because they're not just going to barge in and take your stuff. So that's what hurts me on my end about thinking about it. Um, so it's sad to hear it's ending in Europe. I know DVDs are eventually. I don't think DVDs are ever going to become as prized collectibles as VHS tapes and beta and laser discs. And I know there's another one I'm thinking of from back then, but uh, CED, I think it's called. Not CDs, but something like that. Damn. Whatever the case may be. It was before I was born, and I'm pushing 30. So, nevertheless, WWE physical library ending in the United Kingdom. Now, folks, before we close, we're going to have one final interesting story. And this is an interesting one. So we talked about Randy Orton last week. Jared and I talked about Randy Orton coming back to WWE. Randy Orton has an aspiration to break a very long-standing record in the professional wrestling business, and that is the 16-time World Heavyweight Championship record. It's held by two people, Ric Flair and John Cena. Although Ric Flair claims to have more championships. He says, quote, "Of course, I want to do everything I can, man. Longevity is always the number one goal for me, and being able to go home, play with my kids, and not be in pain, right? That'd be the ultimate goal. But as many accomplishments as I can accomplish in WWE, the more the better. I've already done so much so far. It's kind of nice being in a position where I can watch other guys' matches and maybe critique and help answer questions." And this is the last point I want to bring up. It's interesting because Randy Orton will. So Ric Flair's 16 titles. He didn't win 16 world titles in WWE/WWF. John Cena did. Randy Orton's won, I believe 14. Yeah, he has 14 world championships. So he's just 2 from tying, 3 from breaking. At this point in his career, will Randy Orton, break that? He's 43 years old. So it's not impossible. But they could. He could. So I don't know. I never thought I'd see Ric Flair's record get tied, and I damn sure didn't think at one point it would be in jeopardy of even being broken. All I know is that when it comes to professional wrestlers, you got to appreciate them while you got them. There was sometimes during John Cena's career where he annoyed the living hell out of me, and yet I miss him. I mean, I know he's still in the business, but you miss a guy that isn't around as much because you feel like you didn't cherish him as much. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up this evening. I want to say, for all those wondering, you be sure to find Roundabout Sports on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker. I promise if you subscribe, I'm not just going to yank away all the episodes. Trust me, at I-70, we are not a mega corporation. If we would, I wouldn't be doing the show where I do it. So, then again, maybe I will. Who knows? Humble beginnings, right? That said, I do want to thank you all so much for tuning in every week. We only have a few more shows left till the start of 2024, start of a new season. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Be sure to advertise with us as well. If you have any intention or interest in it, be sure to message me on our I-70 Sports Media Facebook page or on Twitter. We'll reach out. We can strike something. The NAMI helpline, as we put up at the end of the show, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. It is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building better lives for those that struggle with mental health issues. Also, as always, folks, at the end, we always put up here the Suicide Crisis Lifeline. And for that, you dial 988. It's, it's open 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years. Understand that you're never alone in this world. There is always somebody out there that cares about you, that loves you. You are a part of this world for a reason. You were meant to be here. And we are so grateful to have you. Someone is always grateful to have you. And we all have struggles. Everybody goes through something, but that doesn't mean that it's not worth anything. It means that you are just a phone call away. You should not have to fight your struggles and your problems alone. I know I wouldn't want to, and I wouldn't want you to. So be sure to always just reach out. And you could also be the listening ears for somebody else, so you never know. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week here on Roundabout Sports. And remember, I'm the Maestro Jeremy Carp, and life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading.